Imagine this. What if the way you're living right now is actually holding you back from reaching your true potential? What if you're undervaluing yourself without even realizing it, sabotaging your own happiness and success? In today's video, we're diving deep into 10 signs that you might be doing exactly that, and how Stoic philosophy can help you change that for good. Stick with me until the end, because the truth you need to hear might just be the breakthrough you've been waiting for. You won't want to miss it. Constantly seeking validation from others can be a subtle yet profound way you undervalue yourself without even realizing it. At its core, this behavior stems from the belief that your worth is tied to how others perceive you. You might find yourself chasing compliments, fishing for approval, or relying on others to affirm decisions that you are more than capable of making on your own. This dependency creates a cycle of external reliance, where your happiness and confidence are dictated by others' reactions. Stoicism teaches us that true validation comes from within. Marcus Aurelius, a key figure in Stoic philosophy, reminds us that it's not external circumstances or opinions that define us, but how we perceive and act upon them. By constantly seeking validation, you give away your power, allowing others to dictate your value instead of recognizing it internally. Think about how this habit manifests in your daily life. Do you hesitate to share your opinions unless you're sure they'll be well received? Do you alter your behavior to please others, even at the expense of your own values or comfort? Each time you do this, you chip away at your sense of self-worth. Seeking validation becomes a way of prioritizing others' opinions over your own, leaving you dependent on their judgment. Breaking free from this pattern starts with recognizing it. Take a step back and reflect on moments when you've sought approval unnecessarily. Were you hoping for a compliment on something you already felt proud of? Were you looking for someone to confirm a decision you felt confident in making? Once you identify these moments, challenge yourself to resist seeking validation. Instead, ask yourself, what do I think about this? Am I satisfied with my effort or decision? This shift in mindset empowers you to rely on your own judgment. Building inner confidence is a process. Start small by celebrating your achievements privately. Remind yourself of your strengths and accomplishments, even if no one else acknowledges them. When you feel the urge to seek validation, pause and remind yourself that your value doesn't depend on others' opinions. Over time, this practice strengthens your self-worth and helps you align with the Stoic principle of self-reliance. Stoicism isn't about isolating yourself from others or dismissing their input entirely. It's about ensuring that your sense of self isn't controlled by their opinions. By focusing on what truly matters, your actions, values, and character, you begin to value yourself for who you are, not how others perceive you. This shift is transformative, allowing you to step into your full potential with confidence and independence. Comparing yourself to others is one of the most insidious ways you undervalue yourself without even realizing it. It's easy to get caught up in a cycle of measuring your achievements, appearance, or lifestyle against someone else's. Whether it's through social media, work, or even casual conversations, comparison can leave you feeling inadequate, no matter how much you've accomplished. The Stoics understood this destructive tendency and offered profound guidance to break free from it. When you compare yourself to others, you shift your focus from what's within your control to external circumstances. Marcus Aurelius reminds us in his Meditations to focus only on our actions and virtues, as these are the only things truly within our power. Comparing yourself to someone else's journey, achievements, or possessions is not only futile, but also a distraction from your own growth and contentment. This habit often stems from an underlying belief that your worth is determined by how you measure up to others. If someone has more success, more recognition, or a seemingly better life, you might feel as though you're falling short. But what's often overlooked is the incomplete nature of these comparisons. You see only a fragment of someone else's reality, while your perspective on your own life is complete, including all its struggles and imperfections. Stoicism teaches us to cultivate gratitude and focus on our unique path. Instead of comparing, reflect on your own progress. What have you achieved in the past year? What challenges have you overcome? By turning your attention inward, you begin to appreciate your journey and recognize your intrinsic value. The success of others doesn't diminish your own. There's no finite amount of achievement or happiness to go around. When you catch yourself falling into the trap of comparison, pause and shift your perspective. Ask yourself, what am I learning from my own experience right now? What can I control and improve in my life? These questions bring you back to the present and help you focus on what truly matters, your own growth and effort. It's also important to limit your exposure to sources that fuel comparison. Social media, for instance, can present an idealized version of others' lives, making it easy to feel inadequate. Take intentional breaks. Curate your feed to include inspiring and educational content, or practice mindfulness to detach from the need for comparison. These small actions help you maintain clarity and stay grounded in your own reality. The truth is, your worth is not defined by how you stack up against others, but by how you live according to your values and principles. By letting go of comparison, you free yourself to pursue your goals with authenticity and peace of mind. This practice aligns with Stoic wisdom, reminding you to find contentment and pride in your own journey, no matter where others may be on theirs. Seeking constant validation from others is a subtle yet powerful way you might be undervaluing yourself without realizing it. When you rely on external approval to feel worthy or confident, you give away control of your self-esteem to others. This dependence can lead to a cycle of insecurity as you continuously seek affirmation to maintain your sense of self-worth. The Stoics emphasize that true validation comes from within. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, reminds us that our value is determined not by the opinions of others, but by how we align our actions with reason and virtue. If you constantly seek validation, it may indicate that you haven't yet recognized your own inherent value. The approval of others, though momentarily satisfying, is fleeting and unreliable. People's opinions can change, and their praise or criticism is often shaped by their own biases, insecurities, or misunderstandings. When you seek validation, you also give others the power to dictate your choices. You may find yourself saying yes to things that don't align with your values, or compromising on what truly matters to you just to gain their approval. This can lead to feelings of resentment or a lack of fulfillment, as your actions aren't driven by your own goals or beliefs, but by the need to please others. Instead of chasing external validation, cultivate self-awareness and confidence in your own judgments. Reflect on your actions and decisions. Are they aligned with your values and principles? If the answer is yes, that's all the validation you need. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of doing what is right, regardless of whether others recognize or approve of it. He believed that living virtuously and authentically was its own reward. To break free from the need for validation, practice affirming yourself. Start small by acknowledging your efforts and progress. Celebrate your achievements, no matter how minor they may seem, and remind yourself of your strengths. By doing so, you begin to build an internal foundation of self-worth that doesn't rely on others' opinions. Another practical step is to set boundaries. When you're clear about your values and what matters most to you, it becomes easier to say no to things that don't serve your growth. This clarity also makes it easier to accept criticism without letting it shake your confidence. Remember, constructive feedback can be valuable, but it doesn't define your worth. Lastly, remind yourself that you can't control what others think of you. Their opinions are beyond your influence, and worrying about them only wastes your energy. Instead, focus on what you can control: your actions, thoughts, and intentions. By aligning these with your values, you free yourself from the need for external validation and begin to live with greater peace and authenticity. In adopting this Stoic mindset, you'll find that your self-worth becomes stable and resilient, no longer tied to the whims of others' approval. This independence allows you to act with greater confidence, pursue your goals without fear of judgment, and ultimately live a life that feels true to who you are. Comparing yourself to others is one of the most common ways people unknowingly undervalue themselves. It's easy to fall into this trap in a world dominated by social media, where curated highlights of other people's lives are on constant display. You might see someone achieving milestones, acquiring possessions, or living a lifestyle that seems out of reach, and the inevitable comparison starts to chip away at your self-worth. This habit can lead to feelings of inadequacy, jealousy, and even despair, as you begin to measure your value based on someone else's achievements. From a Stoic perspective, this kind of comparison is futile and counterproductive. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Similarly, your worth isn't determined by how you measure up to others, but by how well you live in accordance with your values and principles. The Stoics emphasized focusing on what is within your control. Comparing yourself to others is not only outside your control, but also distracts you from improving what is within your reach, your own actions, choices, and mindset. The reality is that everyone's journey is unique. Each person has their own struggles, strengths, and circumstances, most of which are invisible to an outside observer. When you compare yourself to someone else, you're often comparing your behind-the-scenes struggles with their highlight reel. This distorted perspective leads to unfair judgments about your own life and abilities. Instead of comparing, shift your focus inward. Reflect on your own growth and progress. What have you achieved compared to where you were a year ago? How have you improved in areas that matter to you? These questions can help you reframe your perspective and recognize your own worth without needing external benchmarks. Another powerful practice is gratitude. By focusing on what you already have, you can break the cycle of comparison and appreciate the unique blessings in your life. Gratitude helps you see your life in a more positive light and prevents you from fixating on what others have that you don't. When you find yourself slipping into comparison, remind yourself of this Stoic principle. Envy arises from focusing on external things that don't belong to you. Instead, focus on cultivating inner virtues like wisdom, courage, and self-discipline. These qualities are entirely within your control and are the true markers of a fulfilling and meaningful life. Finally, recognize that comparing yourself to others takes away time and energy that could be spent improving yourself. The time you spend envying someone else's success could be used to develop your skills, pursue your passions, or strengthen your relationships. By redirecting your energy towards self-improvement, you become the best version of yourself, which is infinitely more valuable than trying to emulate someone else. When you stop comparing and start focusing on your own path, you free yourself from the burden of measuring up to others. You can appreciate your unique journey, set goals that align with your values, and build a sense of self-worth that isn't dependent on anyone else. This shift not only brings peace of mind, but also empowers you to live a more authentic and fulfilling life. Relying on external validation to feel good about yourself is a subtle yet pervasive way of undervaluing your own worth. It's natural to seek approval from others, whether it's a friend, family member, or colleague. But when your sense of self-worth is entirely tied to how others perceive you, it becomes a dangerous cycle. You begin to crave constant affirmation, and without it, you may feel inadequate or unworthy. This reliance on external validation can make you vulnerable to manipulation, insecurity, and a lack of confidence in your own judgment. From a Stoic perspective, the need for validation stems from focusing too much on external factors, things beyond your control. The Stoics believed that true peace and fulfillment come from within, not from the opinions of others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." This profound observation highlights the paradox of seeking external validation while neglecting your own inner sense of worth. When you rely on others to determine your value, you give away your power. Their opinions, shaped by their own biases and circumstances, become the lens through which you see yourself. This not only limits your potential, but also creates an unstable foundation for self-esteem. People's opinions can change in an instant, leaving you in a constant state of uncertainty and self-doubt. The antidote to this reliance is to cultivate self-approval and a strong sense of inner validation. Instead of seeking affirmation from others, focus on aligning your actions with your values and principles. When you act in ways that are consistent with your beliefs, you can feel a deep sense of integrity and satisfaction that doesn't depend on external praise. Developing self-trust is another crucial step. This means learning to trust your instincts, decisions, and abilities, even in the face of criticism or doubt from others. By trusting yourself, you build a solid foundation of confidence that allows you to navigate challenges without constantly needing reassurance. Another practice is to embrace constructive criticism without letting it define you. While it's important to listen to feedback and grow from it, not all opinions are equally valuable. The Stoics teach us to consider the source of criticism and evaluate whether it aligns with our values and goals. If it's useful, we can use it to improve. If not, we can let it go without letting it affect our sense of self. Journaling is a powerful tool to help break the cycle of seeking validation. By reflecting on your daily actions and decisions, you can assess whether you're living in alignment with your principles. This self-awareness helps you recognize your progress and build confidence in your ability to navigate life on your own terms. Lastly, remember that seeking validation often stems from a fear of rejection or not being enough. Embracing self-compassion can help counter this fear. Treat yourself with kindness and understanding, acknowledging that you're doing the best you can with the knowledge and resources you have. When you shift your focus from external validation to internal fulfillment, you take back control of your self-worth. You become less concerned with pleasing others and more invested in living a life that aligns with your values. This inner strength and confidence not only improve your relationship with yourself, but also allow you to interact with others from a place of authenticity and mutual respect. Neglecting your own needs to prioritize others constantly is a subtle yet profound way of undervaluing yourself, while helping and supporting others is a noble and admirable trait. Consistently putting everyone else's needs ahead of your own can leave you feeling drained, unfulfilled, and even resentful. Over time, this behavior can erode your sense of self-worth and create an imbalance in your relationships and life. From a Stoic perspective, the idea of self-sacrifice at the expense of your own well-being contradicts the principles of balance and self-respect. Stoicism teaches us to recognize our duties to others, but not at the cost of neglecting ourselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This insight reminds us that while we may have responsibilities toward others, our ultimate duty is to maintain our own mental, emotional, and physical health. When you continuously ignore your needs, you send a subconscious message to yourself that you are less important than those around you. This mindset can make it difficult to assert boundaries, leaving you susceptible to being taken advantage of by those who may not reciprocate your kindness or effort. Healthy relationships require mutual respect and consideration, and if one party constantly gives without receiving, it creates an unhealthy dynamic. Learning to prioritize your own needs isn't selfish. It's essential for long-term well-being. Start by identifying what you truly need to feel balanced and fulfilled. This could be time for self-care, pursuing a passion, or simply setting aside moments to rest and recharge. Once you're clear about your needs, practice assertively communicating them to others. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of speaking and acting in alignment with your values, and this includes standing up for yourself when necessary. Setting boundaries is another critical skill. Boundaries are not about shutting people out, but rather about creating a space where you can thrive while still being there for others. Establishing clear limits ensures that you have the energy and resources to contribute meaningfully without depleting yourself. Remember, when you take care of yourself, you're better equipped to support those around you. Reflection is also a powerful tool in addressing this tendency. Take time to evaluate why you might prioritize others over yourself. Are you seeking validation, avoiding conflict, or driven by a fear of rejection? By understanding the underlying motives, you can begin to shift your behavior in healthier directions. Practicing self-compassion is equally vital. Recognize that your needs and feelings are just as important as anyone else's. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you extend to others. This not only reinforces your self-worth, but also sets an example for how you expect to be treated. Ultimately, valuing yourself involves finding a balance between serving others and meeting your own needs. When you prioritize your well-being, you become a more effective and present friend, partner, or family member. You can give from a place of abundance rather than sacrifice, ensuring that your contributions are sustainable and genuine. By honoring yourself, you demonstrate self-respect and invite others to do the same. If you consistently compare yourself to others, you're likely undervaluing yourself without even realizing it. The habit of measuring your worth against others' achievements, appearances, or lifestyles can deeply affect how you perceive yourself. It may seem natural, especially in today's social media-driven world, but it is a destructive pattern that erodes your self-esteem and sense of fulfillment. Stoicism teaches us that comparing ourselves to others is not only futile, but also contrary to living a virtuous life. The Stoics, including Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, emphasized that we should focus on what is within our control, our thoughts, actions, and responses, rather than external factors such as what others are doing. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If you're constantly measuring your life against the metrics of others, you miss out on the joy that comes from appreciating and improving your own unique journey. It's essential to recognize that every individual's path is different, shaped by unique circumstances, abilities, and values. When you compare yourself to others, you overlook your own progress and achievements, no matter how significant they may be. Instead of feeling proud of your accomplishments, you feel disheartened because you're looking at someone else's highlights while ignoring your own story. This mindset can lead to feelings of inadequacy and frustration. When you compare your progress to someone else's, you're not only focusing on external achievements, but also on the idea of being good enough. But the truth is, there's no universal standard of success. Everyone's journey is personal and different, and what works for one person might not work for another. By constantly measuring your life against others, you shift your attention from what you can control, your growth, your values, your choices, towards things that are entirely outside of your control. The Stoics believed that the only thing that truly matters is how we respond to the circumstances of our lives. Instead of comparing yourself to others, focus on your own potential and progress. Ask yourself, am I becoming the best version of myself? A powerful way to break this pattern is by practicing gratitude. Take a moment each day to reflect on the things you've accomplished and the qualities that make you unique. Shift your focus away from what others have or do and celebrate the positive aspects of your own life. When you shift your focus inward, you begin to build a deep sense of self-worth that isn't dependent on external validation. Another effective strategy is to embrace the idea of personal growth without competition. Instead of seeing life as a race against others, see it as a journey toward becoming the best version of yourself. This approach not only frees you from the anxiety of comparison, but also allows you to set goals that are truly meaningful to you, not based on someone else's definition of success. To practice Stoic wisdom in dealing with comparisons, remind yourself that everyone faces their own struggles and challenges, many of which are hidden from public view. No one's life is as perfect as it may seem from the outside. By focusing on your own journey, your own values, and your own progress, you'll begin to see that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's success or failures. Lastly, acknowledge that comparison is a habit, not an inherent trait. Like any other habit, it can be unlearned and replaced with healthier thought patterns. Each time you catch yourself comparing, pause and reframe your thoughts. Refocus on your strengths, your progress, and the things that matter most to you. It's through consistent practice of self-reflection, gratitude, and Stoic mindfulness that you can break free from the cycle of comparison and start valuing yourself for who you truly are. If you feel the need to please everyone or constantly seek validation from others, you're likely undervaluing yourself. This behavior stems from a deep desire to be liked and accepted, often at the expense of your own values and well-being. Stoicism teaches that external validation is fleeting and unreliable, and it encourages us to look inward for approval rather than outward. The Stoics believed that the opinion of others should not dictate your happiness or sense of self-worth. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, repeatedly reminds himself that he should not be disturbed by the judgments of others. He emphasizes the importance of acting in accordance with one's values, rather than seeking approval from others. When you prioritize pleasing others, you may lose sight of your true desires and goals. In the long run, this can lead to frustration, resentment, and a sense of emptiness because you're living according to someone else's expectations, not your own. This need for validation often comes from a fear of rejection or a fear of being judged. It may lead you to suppress your true thoughts, feelings, and desires in an effort to fit in or gain approval. But by doing this, you're abandoning your authenticity and what truly matters to you. The Stoics would argue that we have control over our actions, but not over how others perceive us. Therefore, trying to constantly gain approval from others is an exercise in futility. The key to overcoming this is learning to be comfortable with who you are, regardless of others' opinions. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent or ignoring others entirely. It means finding the balance between maintaining your personal integrity and being considerate of the people around you. You can still be kind and considerate, but it should never come at the cost of losing yourself in the process. One powerful Stoic practice is to remind yourself that people's opinions are often temporary and fleeting. What someone thinks of you today may not matter tomorrow. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This reflects the idea that seeking validation from others only gives them power over your emotions. Instead of seeking approval, focus on aligning your actions with your values and beliefs. By doing so, you'll find a deeper sense of satisfaction and fulfillment that doesn't depend on external approval. It's important to recognize that seeking validation is often a reflection of insecurity or self-doubt. You may feel that you're not enough on your own, and so you rely on others to make you feel good about yourself. But the Stoic philosophy teaches that our worth is not determined by others, but by our own actions and character. By focusing on cultivating inner strength and confidence, you'll be less dependent on outside approval. Another way to break free from the need to please everyone is by practicing self-compassion. Be kind to yourself and acknowledge your strengths, even if others don't always recognize them. You don't need to wait for someone else to validate you. You are already worthy of love and respect just as you are. Embrace your uniqueness, and don't be afraid to stand firm in your beliefs, even if it means facing criticism or rejection. By letting go of the need to please others, you begin to reclaim your personal power. You free yourself from the constant cycle of seeking approval, and in doing so, you become more self-assured and authentic. Remember, true happiness comes from within, and by focusing on your own values and actions, you'll stop looking for validation in others and start finding it in yourself. When you constantly put the needs of others before your own, you may be undervaluing yourself. This behavior often comes from a place of selflessness, but in the long run, it can lead to burnout, resentment, and a loss of self-identity. Stoicism teaches that while it is important to be considerate of others, you must first take care of yourself in order to be of service to those around you. The Stoics believed in the idea of self-care, not in the sense of indulgence, but in maintaining a balance that allows you to give your best to the world. They understood that you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you constantly prioritize others to the detriment of your own well-being, you will have nothing left to offer. Marcus Aurelius, for example, understood that by nurturing his own mind and soul, he could make wiser and more compassionate decisions for his people. Putting others' needs ahead of your own at all times means you're not setting boundaries. And when you fail to set boundaries, you're letting others dictate your time and energy. This may feel like a noble thing to do, but over time, it creates a sense of being overwhelmed and unappreciated. This can cause frustration and ultimately feelings of resentment towards others because you're not giving yourself permission to be equally important. Stoicism suggests that we must live according to nature and be guided by reason. Caring for your own needs is part of living a virtuous life. By understanding and prioritizing your own needs, you are not being selfish, but rather, you're ensuring that you can serve others more effectively. It's about striking a balance between helping others and ensuring that you are in a position to do so. A simple Stoic practice to help with this is to start each day with a reminder of what is within your control. Recognize that your time, your energy, and your well-being are yours to manage. By making self-care a priority, you're ensuring that you are able to contribute meaningfully to the world. Remember, the Stoics believed in excellence, not just for the sake of others, but also for yourself. Taking care of yourself means taking responsibility for your own happiness and ensuring that you don't neglect your own needs in the process. Another sign that you might be undervaluing yourself is the inability to say no. When you feel obligated to accept every request or take on every responsibility, it may seem like you're being helpful, but you're actually overextending yourself and sacrificing your own peace of mind. Stoicism teaches the importance of discernment, knowing when to say yes and when to say no. By saying no to what doesn't align with your values or priorities, you preserve your energy and focus on what truly matters. It's crucial to understand that by not setting boundaries, you are allowing others to dictate your life. You may feel guilty for saying no, but the Stoic perspective encourages you to recognize that your energy and time are valuable. Saying no isn't a rejection of the person making the request, but rather a way to protect your own well-being and maintain balance in your life. Saying no is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength, clarity, and self-respect. When you don't have the ability to say no, you're essentially letting the external world control your internal world. The Stoics were keen on cultivating inner strength and resilience, understanding that we can't control everything around us, but we can control how we respond. Saying no is a powerful way to assert your control over your own life and your own time. The Stoic practice of focusing on what is within your control is also vital in this context. When you focus only on what is within your control, your own actions and reactions, you'll find it easier to say no without guilt. You'll understand that you are not responsible for the happiness or comfort of others at the expense of your own. By mastering this skill, you'll not only protect your own peace, but also maintain healthy relationships with others. It's important to remember that setting boundaries and saying no does not mean being selfish or uncaring. On the contrary, it means you value yourself enough to protect your time, energy, and peace of mind. By doing so, you can be more present and more effective in your relationships, work, and personal life. In the long run, this approach leads to greater fulfillment and deeper, more meaningful connections with others.